Hello and welcome to VIT Today's The Next Step. We have with us Abhilak Sharma. He's a 2017 CSC graduate from VIT Vellore. He further did his MBA from the prestigious Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. He's also the founder of ARC Foundation, an NGO, and currently works as an integrated consultant for McKinsey. Abhilak, thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Thanks for giving me one.
Great. So, moving to my very first question, which is pretty mainstream. While you were at VIT, what did you prioritize? Was it academics or co-curricular activities?
Okay, so it was a case of shifting priorities over time. When I entered, like most other CS students, I thought by the end of year 4, I'll have a placement at Facebook and I'll write code for them and I'll make like 50 lakh per annum or whatever. But with time, I realized that even if you might want to choose engineering, sometimes engineering will reject you. So my GPA steadily tanked over time. I made sure that I didn't get Fs, but that was about it. I had like several E's. My So academics was definitely not something that I prioritized, but I did spend a lot of time in music for the first 2 years, and for the rest of college, most of my time was spent debating, um, almost exclusively. So I definitely put extracurriculars front and center during my VIT experience.
Right. Most of the students face the dilemma, right, of pursuing higher studies or go for a placement. What were your options?
I was open to both, honestly. But nothing that was available at VIT through the placements process really appealed to me. So there were certain jobs I wanted really badly. So I would have loved to join McKinsey as a business analyst at the time, which is the
Right.
designation that's immediately junior to mine, which is where they had like maybe 4 undergrads a year. But that is not a job that is easy to get through VIT, not unless you have some really powerful contacts, right? Someone willing to watch for you, which I didn't have at the time. But in the sense that it's really difficult to get in from a non-target. But the other sorts of jobs that I wanted, I had this list, right? That I will be fine if I enter one of these sectors, or if I'm doing this kind of work or whatever, right? Like public sector was something I was interested in at the time. I would have been okay with some kind of consulting role. And so luckily I got a Quality Council of India to take me, which is where I was a junior associate and then eventually a project associate. And I worked there for 2 years with several ministries on consulting projects. But having said that, in my fourth year, I wrote CAT. I wrote the GRE. I applied to ISB's Young Leaders program, and ISB got converted for me. My CAT did not go well at all. I applied to foreign MBA programs, 2+2 programs, similar to ISB's YLP programs. I applied to Harvard and Stanford, but that was a really, really long shot. It didn't work out. And I would say that I did have liberal arts aspirations as well in the middle. Like I thought through debating that this was something that I was interested in doing. Maybe I'd want to go to Oxford or Cambridge or something like that to study political economy or comparative government or some shit. But that didn't work out. I realized the MBA was it for me. Yeah.
Talking about ISB, it's one of the prestigious B schools right now in the country, but it has a separate, a different selection process, right, compared to the other B schools. So, could you please elaborate on that aspect of it?
Okay, so ISB is a one of a kind school in the entire world, not just in India. It's distinctive among B school programs, and it's definitely distinctive amongst Indian B schools.
Right.
This is for several reasons. I mean, there's the obvious ones, such as it has a 1-year program, when most other MBA programs have a 2-year program, things like that. But I think what is distinctive about ISB is the freedom it gives students to explore their intellectual interests, and the trust that it puts in them, the fact that it treats them like adults, which is something that you won't get to the same extent in any other college in India. And it's not just in terms of like, that you're free to move and you're free to do whatever you want on campus and so on and so forth. But I think a large part of it has to do with the fact that the way that the campus is designed is to maximize uh, students' social and recreational and academic options on a daily basis, right? Which means that I will have a proper apartment to myself where I have housekeeping taking care of my every need, right? These people will clean my room, make my bed. They'll do everything so that I don't have to worry about anything other than studying or partying, right? Or sleeping, right? And at the same time, I will have a fridge. I will have a large living room, right? Uh, I will have all sorts of facilities available to me to throw a study group meeting, right? If ever I need to, or if to throw a Christmas party or any kind of barbecue or like any such thing. And I think that kind of freedom is very rare. I would,
That's a lot of
yeah,
independence.
yeah. So for instance, so I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I think my experience at VIT gave me a lot. Uh, in terms of the fact that it taught me how to work through really adverse circumstances that you don't want to be a part of. But I would say that ISB is the sort of school I would give my right thumb to, right? If they asked for it. Everything I have is theirs. Like I'm willing to credit them fully for um, what I got through my B school experience, but I don't know if I can extend the same courtesy to my undergraduate institution or to any other institutions that were a part of my life. So I think that is what made ISB a distinctive experience for me. I would definitely recommend it to anybody. Yeah.
Right. So for the selection process, we know it's not CAT, right? But even you gave the CAT exam. So did you give GRE or GMAT to enter into ISB and the admission process?
You can give either exam if you're applying to the YLP program, which is where you work for 2 years and then you get through. You can give the GRE or you can give the GMAT, depending on which one you feel more comfortable with. The reason I went for GRE was because I was more confident about, I was more, I figured my verbal skills were stronger than my mathematical skills, and the GRE has relatively easier math compared to the GMAT, while having a slightly more tricky verbal section. So I figured that I was playing to my competitive advantage. Additionally, VIT DebSoc has figured out the formula to cracking the GRE, and this was something that I was a part of formulating along with my immediate seniors. So it was almost like I was part of a legacy where they had people telling me, "Oh, you want to give the GRE here? Here's how to do it." So it was just easier. It was very natural. I figured it's the best way to do it.
What are the parameters students must know before getting into a university for higher education? Some kind of lookouts for.
The first thing is to research your options a lot, right? And in detail. I have a lot of students from VIT reach out to me every year, right? But what really irks me is that none of them have done the basic diligence of Googling what programs are available to somebody of their interests, right? There are a lot of people that have no idea what an MBA program is about. And this isn't information that you need an alum to tell you, right? This is stuff you can figure out through some basic Google searching. Quora answers could probably give you a pretty great idea of what happens, right? There's a lot of material on YouTube about what a day in the life of such students is like at B schools or at engineering schools. I feel like a lot of the decisions people therefore make end up being passive, right? Because they haven't really explored options, they haven't given much thought to what their preferences are. But it's sort of like they're bandwagoning. So the first step would be to get that awareness of where you want to go, right? Not just because, oh, the prestige is there, or my parents said you will one day be an aeronautical engineer, so I will apply to an aerospace program.
Right.
it needs to be a much more active, much more involved process, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing would be, you should look for a school that gives you what you want, right? And this is tricky because what you want can be a lot of different things, and they can be things that you might feel like you're not allowed to want, right? So for instance, after VIT, I desperately wanted an experience where I would be able to soar, right? Like I would be able to do anything I wanted, right? I would uh, have freedom of movement, right? Things like that. They really mattered to me. I felt like I had missed out a crucial part of the undergraduate experience, which is, you get to make mistakes, you get to be a stupid, like 18 to 22-year-old, right? So that ruled out waiting for 4 years and then doing an MBA abroad for me, because I would have been an old guy if I had done that, right? You don't have like Harvard grads doing the sorts of things that, say, Indian MBAs do. Indian MBAs are comparatively a lot younger. So I wanted to go to a college where I would have young people around me, people between the ages of 22 to 26 tops, right? That played a huge role in my decision to stay in India. So things like that, right? You really need to consider the whole gamut, right, of what you want. And even from a career perspective, right? I knew I wanted McKinsey, Bain, BCG,
Right.
if at all, right? And therefore, any college that was a non-target school for these firms was not a college I could go to. So a lot of people end up taking any college they get because they feel like they might not get something better. But then if that college can't give them what they want, then I think it's a pointless investment.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So for a CSC undergraduate like you, Quality Council of India isn't a common spot to be in. So I have like three questions to it. How did you get into it firstly? Second, why? And what was the experience all about?
Okay, so I think a lot of people walk into engineering without knowing why they're walking into engineering. Some of them decide that, okay, this is my fate, I will figure something out. What else would I even do, right? And it works out for the best. Like they find a way to make it work. I wasn't one of those people, right? I didn't know how to make this work. I remember like I had mobile computing in my third year, and before the exam, I was just losing my mind, right? I was like, what the hell? What is GSM? What is GPRS? I cannot do this, right? So I figured that this is not the line I want to continue in. So any placement in that field is not something I'll be happy getting, right? Like it's not something that will give me joy. But I was very cognizant of what I did like, which is I was quite interested in the social sector and the public sector in doing something good for society in a direct manner, right? And I was quite interested in consulting, in free form, interdisciplinary problem solving. So it's serendipity, right? Like I found QCI. QCI was a public sector consulting firm, and I applied, because it said apply, send resume. So I figured, okay, let's see what's the worst that could happen. So I sent it in, and then I got an interview call, and I prepared for the interview with some people's help, and then I got through. I did have a placement from VIT at Mu Sigma, but I ended up rejecting that. That was my backup. But yeah, like if anybody else wants to go, right, this is not the sort of company that is tough to get into. They routinely open applications even for interns, right? So if you guys have like 2 months of an internship and they are offering, you could go get a taste of what they do. They're a good organization. It's yeah, so that's just, again, like I just bring it back to being very, very aware of what you want, right? If you are aware of what you want, you will find opportunities that align with what you want. But if you keep wandering around aimlessly, like, oh, you keep thinking about what you want, or rather, no, thinking about it will let you find out what you want. But if you just keep complaining that you don't know what you want, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to see opportunities that are right in front of you.
Correct. I think today, profile is a very, very important aspect. So internships also do matter accordingly. What kind of opportunities or internships for that say should VITians look out for?
My answer is going to be very controversial on this. I think internships are total bullshit. I think you will learn nothing in any internship you take up during undergrad. But what I think you should do as a student is take a solo trip, right? Do something adventurous, something offbeat. Go to a foreign country, take a road trip in India, right? Go explore. Okay, go volunteer with some kind of non-governmental organization, right? Do social work. I think character building experiences are far more important than these internships at big firms where you feel like you will get some brand value attached to you if you work there. It doesn't matter. Like, look at it like this, right? Okay, I know. Okay, I've been an intern, right, at these places as an undergrad student. They're not going to trust me with work that will, where like money is on the line, right? The stakes are too high for them to do that. I'll never have any real responsibilities. They'll just give me some Excel sheets to crunch. Okay, it'll be some stupid exercise. Like, it's just a waste of my time, it's a waste of their time, right? The only reason I'll be there is probably because my parents talk to somebody. Half the time that's the case, right? But think about it from a different angle, right? Like, if you took that summer to go and visit the northeast of India, right, then that is a memory that you will keep. Those are experiences that will define you, right? If you go and volunteer at some kind of non-profit of your choice, right, like, I don't know, maybe a stray dog shelter, right, that is something that will make you feel good, right? That is something that people can actually appreciate. But if you did an internship at, I don't know, if you're a CS student, uh, where do they even go? If you, okay, mm, you get the picture, right? I can't think of even kids that get internships through PAT end up doing nothing that whole summer, right? Like, it's very chill. They go to a hotel, they hang out. Frankly, like, it's just far more rewarding to either go for an adventurous experience. And believe me, right, like, it's worth it. You'll feel like, oh, it's too expensive, I'm too young for this. You're not. That is the correct age to do it. I would say that that, and like, is quite important. And along those lines, right, that's why I founded my internship program at ARC with my colleagues. So ARC is a very VIT friendly organization. Anyone from, like, almost all of our guys and girls that are working with us to foster a whole bunch of different social outreach initiatives, they're all from VIT. And these are paid internships. I mean, what, we don't pay like extravagant amounts because we're a non-profit, but like, we pay you because we get work out of you, right? And we do give you real work. So that is something that we have tried to fix, because we know that college kids do have the capability of doing meaningful work. But I'm telling you, the vast majority of organizations, right, take my IIM internships, I didn't do anything there. Okay, like, okay, on my resume it will say I wrote a report on inequality, it will say I wrote some code for a quantitative finance database. Yo, that's childish. Like, that's like building Legos, honestly. Like, relative to actual work, I don't think it adds value. And people can see through it, right? Nobody is really going to go, oh, you had this cool internship. But people will ask you, about what it was like to visit Vietnam in your third year, or what it was like to um, work at a shelter for abandoned puppies, right? That is the sort of thing that will get you jobs, believe it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're currently working with McKinsey as an integrative consultant. So a common doubt people have is, what exactly does a consulting firm do, and why did you choose consulting?
Okay. So consulting firms primarily help other companies, other organizations deliver more impact, right? In fact, consulting firms deliver impact for these organizations, right? That is the objective that all of us have. We have our clients' genuine interest in mind, and we make it our goal to help them get what they want, right? Now, that could be higher margins from a business perspective. That could be a digital transformation across the organization. That could be a way to reduce certain types of costs. It could be launching new products. It could be entering new geographies. It could be creating mergers and alliances with other companies. It could be anything, right? And they come to us because we have the knowledge and the intellectual horsepower to help them do this quickly and help them do this well, right? So essentially, it's a job for people that are very intellectually curious, are very driven to create impact. And I happen to be both of those things. So consulting felt like a natural fit. I'm not saying other places don't allow you to be passionately driven towards making an impact, but the amount of focus around doing that for parties around the world, right, in all kinds of sectors, it's just taken to another level in consulting. So um, that is why I chose consulting, and that is broadly what consultants do. So again, I know it sounds vague, but that's because it is, right? Like I don't know on a day-to-day basis what my next task is going to look like, right? My first study at McKinsey, that's what projects are called over there, was with an insurance company, right? Who had some who wanted to, like, the insurance company wanted to set up a capability center, right, for digital um, initiatives. Then my second study has been with a pharma client, right, and it is also in the digital space. But this time it's not about creating digital capabilities as such of building your own R&D and stuff, but it's more about using digital tools to improve operations on the factory floor, right? My next study could be something as random as helping, I don't know, India make more Olympic gold medals. So just that kind of day-to-day dynamism is what attracts me to the job, and yeah, I love it.
Right. On a concluding note, is there any message that you would like to deliver to the juniors? Anything apart from the interview that you've spoken so far?
I would say that really, really think about what you like to spend your time doing without judgment, right? And that will give you a very good idea about what you want to do in life. Because if I'm doing it every day and I'm enjoying it every day, then that isn't going to change anytime soon, right? I know that we have like a lot of pressure from our parents, particularly in the VIT context, because our parents wanted us to go to IITs, but it didn't work out, right? So they feel like we're underachieving in life. But you need to listen to yourself, right? You need to figure out um, what you like to spend your time doing. So I love debating, right? Like it gave me a lot of joy. It made me feel alive in a way that studying for exams didn't. It never could, right? And that's not to say like, and that, believe it or not, that wasn't reflective of my academic potential. My GRE score was 335, which is pretty high out of 340. And my ISB GPA in subjects I actually enjoyed studying, subjects I felt passionate about, was 3.83, which is top 7% of the batch, right? And that was in a batch full of like IIT toppers, um, LSR toppers, Stephens toppers, NLS toppers, right? So it's not like the academic potential was lacking, but it's just the interest that wasn't there, right? And you may feel like, no, I'm lazy. You're not. You just don't enjoy this. You have to really, really think about what you do enjoy, what you do spend your time doing,
True.
and chase it with everything you have. So yeah, if it's sports, if it's whatever, just find it, right? Find that value that you care about, and everything else will make sense.
Right. So with that, we come to the end of the interview. It was very insightful, to be honest, Abhilaksh. And thank you so much for sparing your valuable time.
No worries, Akshay. Thanks.